So you've got this killer business idea, right? A real game changer. But how do you take that spark and turn it into a company that actually lasts? Well, the bridge between a great idea and a great business is built with one thing: strategy. And today, we're going to lay out the ultimate blueprint for creating and executing a business strategy that really, truly works.
I just love this quote from Patrick Dixon. It gets right to the point. A strategy isn't some dusty document that sits in a binder on a shelf. No, it's an active, living battle plan. It's how you navigate all the chaos out there in the market and actually build toward the future you want for your company. And this image just nails why it's so important. Look at the left side. Without a strategy, everyone's just running around. Marketing's doing one thing, finance is pulling another way, sales is off in its own world. It's chaos. But with the clear strategy, it's like a lighthouse. It lines everything up, making sure every single decision, every action is pushing the whole company toward that one single goal.
So, here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to get crystal clear on what strategy even is. Then, we'll dive into the 3 huge steps: crafting your blueprint, actually executing it, and then measuring your progress to make sure you're winning. Okay, let's start with the basics. What are we really talking about when we use the word strategy? You know, at its heart, strategy is just about answering 2 really simple but super powerful questions. Where are we trying to go, and what's the smartest way to get there? It's your map. It's the plan that guides you to where you want to be, making sure you don't run out of gas or cash on the journey. Now here's something that trips a lot of people up: the difference between strategy and tactics. Think of it like this. Strategy is the big picture. It's the what and the why. It's your grand plan to win the war. Tactics, on the other hand, are the specific actions you take on the ground, the how. These are the individual battles you fight to win that war. And if that's still a little fuzzy, this quote from Frank Muir just says it all, doesn't it? The strategy is the thoughtful, overarching plan. The tactics are the clever, specific moves you make to pull it off. You absolutely need both, but one always guides the other. All right, so we know what strategy is. Now for the fun part. How do we actually build one? We're diving into step 1, crafting the blueprint. And we're going to break it down into 5 clear, doable parts. So here it is, our roadmap for building a rock-solid strategy. We start with the big dream, your vision. Then we turn that into real goals, take a hard look at where you stand, figure out how you're going to win, and finally, build the framework to make it all stick. Let's go through them one by one. Look, everything has to start with your vision. And this is not some fluffy mission statement, okay? This is your North Star. It is the fundamental reason your company even exists, and it should quietly influence every single decision you make. You know, Apple's vision isn't to sell computers, it's to create the best personal computing experience. See the difference? That vision shapes everything they do. So once you've got that North Star, you need to plot the major stops along the journey. These are your top-level objectives. We're talking about the big, measurable goals. Things like sales, profit, and growth that are going to turn that grand vision into a reality. Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. You can't chart a course if you don't know what kind of ship you're sailing, right? The VRIO framework is an amazing tool for this. It makes you ask some tough questions about what you've got. Is your tech valuable? Is it rare? Can your competitors easily copy it? And here's the kicker, is your company even organized to take advantage of it? If you can check all 4 of those boxes for something, well, that's a real sustainable competitive advantage. Once you know your unique strengths, you can pick your battle. According to the legendary Michael Porter, there are really only 3 ways to play the game. You can be the cheapest, like Ryanair, that's cost leadership. You can be totally unique, like Starbucks, that's differentiation. Or you can find a small pond and be the big fish, serving a niche market. Just a word of warning, trying to be all 3 at once is a recipe for disaster. You end up being good at nothing. And the final piece of the blueprint puzzle is making sure it flows through the whole company. Your big picture strategy has to be translated for every single department. What does this mean for marketing's daily work? What does this mean for the finance team's budget? This is how you get everyone, in every corner of the company, singing from the same hymn sheet. Okay, you have a brilliant blueprint. It's perfect. But a plan is just a piece of paper without action. And that brings us to the most important part, execution. This is where strategies either fly or die. This really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? So many incredible strategies just fizzle out because they fall apart when it's time to actually do the work. So what goes wrong? And more importantly, how do you make sure it goes right? The secret is to tackle the biggest failure points head on. Success really boils down to these 4 things. 1, you have to communicate the plan until you're blue in the face. Everyone needs to know what the goal is and what their role is in getting there. 2, you can't starve your strategy. You have to give it the money, the people, and the tech it needs to actually work. 3, culture. If your strategy goes against your company culture, culture will win every time. They have to be allies. And finally, you have to know what success looks like from day 1 by figuring out how you're going to keep score. And that brings us perfectly to our final section, the inspection. This is how you make sure the build is going to plan and how you make smart adjustments when it's not. The great Peter Drucker said, "You can't manage what you don't measure." And man, is that true for strategy. Key performance indicators, or KPIs, these are your gauges. They're the specific numbers that tell you if your plan is actually working or if you're just flying blind. For instance, if your whole strategy is about growth, you'll be watching KPIs like these. Is revenue climbing? Are we getting new customers? And hey, are we actually keeping the ones we have? Things like conversion rates give you a super clear, data-driven picture of how your growth engine is running. But if your strategy is more about, say, dominating your market, your KPIs are going to look a bit different. You'll be obsessing over things like your market share versus the other guys, how often you win a sales deal, and what people are saying about your brand out there. And of course, at the end of the day, it all comes back to the money. Financial KPIs are the ultimate report card. They tell the true story of whether your strategy is a success. Are you actually making a profit? Is your cash flow healthy? These numbers don't lie. And there you have it. You craft the blueprint, you start the build with precision execution, and you constantly inspect your work using the right metrics. This isn't something you do once. It's a living, breathing cycle. It's what keeps a strategy powerful, relevant, and successful. So you now have the complete blueprint, from that first spark of an idea all the way to measuring your success. The plan is literally in your hands. The only question left is, what's the very first brick you're going to lay?
Channel.